Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back here for another session of the FM Lunch Hour. My name is Paul Erubami, your regular host. I'm sure for those who attended last week's session with the Oracle, Obiora must have had a great time talking about service level agreements and FM contracts. Today, I'm looking at something that uh, we often don't get training about, but we definitely need in our profession as facility managers. And this applies to all workplaces. And most of the topics we take on the lunch hour are topics that as a facility manager, you can bring your HR friends, your IT friends, your manufacturing production friends, colleagues from all walks of life to attend, and they will all benefit from it. Uh, Before we start, I would like to encourage everyone here and those who have been here in the past, just hearing my voice right now, to subscribe to our YouTube channel. There is a treasure trove of knowledge and wisdom that are available in our YouTube channel, from short clips that give you, punchlines and direct, quick knowledge, to whole length 2 hours, 1 hour training sessions that covers a broad range of workplace productivity, leadership, soft skills, facility management, real estate management, property management skills that you can benefit from. Just spending 3-4 hours a week on our YouTube channel every week, you won't still cover all of the content in a whole year. So it's a whole lot of content. And these are things we have built over the last 10 years and made available for you in our YouTube channel. So take advantage of that. Also connect with us and and join our pages on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram. We have two major groups on social media. We have the Telegram group for Max-Migold Facility Management and Training. We have the Facebook Max-Migold Facility Management and Business group. We also have the WhatsApp Max-Migold Facility Management Training groups as well. So join any of these for live, real-time, ongoing conversation. We bring you content, that helps to enrich your knowledge base, expand your skill sets, and help you drive impacts on a day-to-day basis. So connect with us. You can get all the updates as we share them. And then you can also pick up the links and share with your colleagues in statuses and broadcasts. It will do a lot of good if we can have, as many people as possible share in this efforts we're putting together to, to share knowledge for free. The FM Mastercraft Diploma, they announced that it will run all the way to the end of November for the current batch. Formally, we have, concluded on the admissions into the current batch. We're just going to run it through. The countdown for the January batch is going to start. So if you are thinking of joining the January batch, the time to register is now, and then you can pay in installments towards January. You still have about 4 months to prepare yourself and pay instrumentally to get to January. So you don't struggle with finding the funds just after Christmas and New Year, because that's the reality. Many people think that, oh, don't worry, by that time I'll have the means to do it. But when Christmas and New Year come, 30 December takes everything you have. And then you have school fees coming up in January for the children and things like that. You give yourself another excuse why you couldn't progress or advance your career for another year. And every year you delay or defer it, you stay stuck at lower earning levels and unable to make, so I encourage you to start now, register now in the next batch, make your payments and you guarantee your success. So that's about the FM Mastercraft Diploma. I would like to invite everyone listening to me now to the AFMPN annual conference coming up on the 24th and 25th of September. Just, a couple of weeks away. Mark it in your calendar. It's holding at the Faculty of Social Sciences at the University of Lagos main campus, just a stone throw from Max-Migold office in University of Lagos. So make a date to be there. The conference promises to be a big deal. We have the AGM, we have the awards, we have the induction of new registered facility managers and fellows on that day. So witness and get inspired and learn from the thought leaders. I will be one of the speakers during the conference, so it will be an opportunity for you to hear one of my topical issues addressed in a conference setting. Okay, so and then I want to thank all of you, those who attended the first ever Facility Innovations and Leadership Summit that held, 2 Saturdays ago. It was an awesome event, packed full, with a lot of excitement, a lot of learning, and it was a lot of fun for those who made it. We are working towards another field summit for next year, and we hope to make it even better. That's brought to you by the Alumni Association of the Max-Migold Mastercraft, Facility Mastercraft Diploma program. This alumni has grown to become the largest community of facility management professionals in the continent. And I encourage you to take the FM Mastercraft Diploma and graduate into the alumni. And that's when you see real facility management being practiced and discussed on a day-to-day basis. And you can make a great impact. You can learn from others. You can be part of the coaching and mentoring program. You can be part of the knowledge sharing sessions they hold regularly, as well as receive connections or different solutions that you might want. That is the biggest thing to happen to the FM industry in Nigeria today. In that alumni, you will find people from virtually every organization that hires facility managers, because that's the kind of reach we've had over the last 10 years, and we welcome you to be part of it. Today, we are looking at a topic that people don't often talk about, a topic that in facility management is even more apt, relevant to our jobs, because there are so many stereotypes and mindset shifts that's required for us to get away from this. This is who the ideal staff or colleague should be. And that can be a problem because we end up in a one-dimensional view of life, a one single-dimensional view of our careers and solutions that we need to bring on board. So we want to get you to open your mind and join us as we look at diversity, equity, and inclusion in facility management. If you think about it deeply, do you have a good blend of mindsets among your team, or have you selected people, with a very narrow approach? When we talk about diversity, I think the first thing to think about is in what ways are we diverse, right? During the course of this session, I'm going to talk a lot about how we can harness the values, the positive trends that come from every aspect of our type, of our differences, for the improved performance of our teams. But then there are 4 key areas that diversity applies. In fact, maybe more than 4, because if you think about it, talk about ethnicity, right? Do you accommodate all races and all ethnic configurations in your team? That's the first one. Then the next one has to do with religion or culture. So I can put those 2 together because we have different cultural or religious backgrounds. So our culture is affected by religion. And for those who are non-religious, they still have a culture. Somehow everybody grew up with some kind of programming, some kind of culturalization. So that's there. We have the gender, male versus female. And I hear nowadays there are more than 2, but I was talking about male versus female in this presentation, not, all of those illusion of multiple genders. And then there is also this segregation around age, right? Too young, too old, that can be a problem too, when we talk about diversity uh, and inclusion. So whether it's race, ethnicity, whether it's culture, religion, whether it's age, whether it's gender, we need to have a balanced team to be able to think together as a team, provide solutions from multiple dimensions of reasoning, and come up with the best all the time. That's the whole idea of diversity. Uh, so understanding, what diversity, equity, and inclusiveness means, and how we can overcome the common barriers to equity and inclusion in FM environment, strategies to foster diverse and inclusive teams, and how to align our DEI strategy to that of the organization. It's not just enough to say, oh, well, we need to have a diverse team. We need to have a diverse group. Therefore, bring anybody on board. No, no, no. The organization's strategy still needs to be satisfied. It's the first thing that you consider. So it's after you've considered and created, any policy you create must align to how the organization needs to achieve its goal. I remember a few years ago, still in the field, working with an organization where uh, men were mostly employed to be facility managers, and ladies were mostly employed to be office assistants, right? And I came up one day and said, look, this is not making sense. We're basically stereotyping gender. Oh, well, ladies can't put on harness and climb ladders, and who told you that? You have ladies driving trailers all over the place, mostly abroad, not too many here, large buses, working in construction. I've seen ladies doing very hard job in construction industry. So why are you stereotyping and making it look as if, oh, ladies should put on skirt all the time? And All right. Sorry about that breaking transmission. I had an internet disconnection suddenly. But I hope I'm back. Everyone can see me. Can I get a confirmation that we're together now?
Okay. Audio is clear.
Okay.
Yes, we can see you and can hear you.
Thank you so much. Okay. So innovation, equity, involving others, fairness in decision making can only happen or be mastered if we have a diverse team. We as facility managers should be able to drive cultural change by modeling inclusion across our organizations and departments. And because we come to work, we are assembled from different families, different cultures, different backgrounds, different religions, and different way of thinking and decision making. When we come together to work as a team, we bring something from our background on board. And that includes the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? What is expected is that as we bring all of this to the table, we mingle all of these characteristics, and then we democratically select the best that we use to create the culture of our team. So, and that can become a very strong, improved culture beyond, better than what each of us bring from our background. Okay, if you have a team that has male, female, old, young, different tribal and racial mix, what you're going to see is that there will be more engagements, especially when someone who is at the top does not favor a small group from the sets, right? If you are open and transparent and impartial, you will see more engagement. You'll find people having more respect for one another. There are certain conditions that not many people have considered themselves ever being in, but just mingling with people who can accommodate or live with that can modify, can moderate your extreme positions of views about certain things. And the common problem, the biggest problem with equity and diversity in the workplace, especially in FM, is that we have very little by way of training on this area. We tend to just allow our stereotypes to work. It's, if two people apply for a job, you already made up your mind that a man should be better than a woman for the job, or a woman should be better than a man for the job. Therefore, you just automatically screen people out, right? And that's a defective mindset, because you are being ruled by what we call unconscious biases. You are already biased against certain demographics. And then most companies don't have specific policies. They don't have that. All managers should be guided. This is how we want to relate to all types of people, right? Sometimes as you rise in the management, you begin to observe the body language of those ahead of you. Things like tribal sentiments, things like the religious sentiments. I know some places where if they see a lady covered in the hijab, or some of those religious covering, they'll probably say, no, this one we can't hire. Or you see a guy appearing with all that bushy mustache and some kind of, I don't know, this guy is really fundamentalist. We can't have him in our environment. The point we are making here is that do not allow those stereotypes and those generalizations lead you to blocking people out. Sometimes you do it unconsciously, just, no, I don't want, right? And then the person is pushed out. And this makes you and the team you have created not have one-sided way of thinking. You make more mistakes. You apply less innovation. You have poor growth and progress within the team because you are not able to see all sides of every issue because you are stereotyped and you have boxed yourself into one way of thinking. A cultural resistance can slow the adoption of inclusive practices in facility management, and this is very common. Some people are not even shy anymore to say, I don't want this kind of people. I don't want, I had a similar challenge in the past. There was a time I employed mostly young people. I love to think that innovation and technology and creativity, the millennials, Gen Zs, and Gen Alphas will be best at, because I was futuristic in my assessment of the kind of team I want to build. And then after a few years, when I saw how unstable these demographics presented, it turned out high turnover, hopping and jumping from one spot to the other, and not being able to stick to policies and do things in a structured way. They were not even being as innovative and productive as I expected. I said, oh, this thought of keeping to this demographic, I'm going to just ban that thought, banish it, and then I employ only people who are much older, more mature. They can show professionalism. They like to work guided by structure and all that. And then after a while, I realized, okay, so I'm transferring my bias from one demographic to another demographic. Say, no, this doesn't make sense. And all of these are things that I had to teach myself. When I'm in council, in national bodies, professional bodies, or any kind of meeting, religious meetings, there's always that we've all assembled and these are people that are ready to do the job. And then somebody will say, oh, well, we didn't find a female. We need to find a female to balance the gender balance within the team. My approach to this is simple. Make the opportunity open to both, to people of diverse backgrounds. And then when you are doing screening, use a quota approach for screening. And now, let me give you an example. If you want to hire a board of 10 people or a team of 10 cleaners, for example, now, as you put out the ads and applications come, you'll find a kind of ratio that represents the public you've targeted at. So you might probably have, maybe 100 applicants for the 10 positions, and that 100 applicants will have maybe 70 female and 30 male, right? But then when you now do the final screening, using purely performance assessments, experience, education, and whatever categories of criteria you use to screen them. If you find that the top 10 are all one demographic, now, you may not be conscious that your unconscious bias might have made you score some more than others, right? And then you now ended up with a certain demographic as the ones that are being shortlisted. That's when you should tell yourself, I have made a mistake, right? I have made a mistake. I have been unconsciously biased. So I will now need to look at the other demographics and say, can I get the best among these other demographics, the best among the females? If the stock of numbers of I got at the top are all Christians or all Muslims, can I now look at the best from among other religions or other cultural backgrounds and see how I can get the best from among those to come in to the team and then drop a certain number from this single demographic? Because whether you like it or not, we all have biases. We have, and most of our biases are not conscious. It's unconscious, right? So somebody talks to me in an interview, I perceive the person's abilities, and then I give the person a score. Now, in your mind's eye, it is purely based on the response that you have given me a score. But there's always that unconscious bias within you that makes you score certain people higher for giving the same kind of impression than others. And that's what we're trying to kill. So what you basically need to do is to create a balance in the team you are putting together. You must find a way to find the best out of the other demographics. You can create a kind of a demographic spreadsheet of all the applicants and say, after the assessments and all the tests and all the interviews, these are the tops from each of these demographics. And I want to take top best from among all of them, instead of putting them in one grid scale and trying to pick just the top. Now, it's possible that there's a mix amongst the best using performance appraisers approaches. But if that happens, that unconscious biases have made you to score some more and they are all up there, then you might need to go back and say, what can we do to balance this up and bring people from other demographics? Now, because you are not being trained to recognize your conscious biases, you are not being trained to deliberately put together diversity in organizing your team, because most of our professional training don't have these diversity considerations. You now have to use, self-learning approach to prompt yourself and remind yourself that I must create balance, in everything I do. Okay. And then for organizations, people who lead teams and departments and heads of organizations try to deliberately have a diversity policy, because what the diversity policy does is it removes the barriers, that prevents us from hiring maybe old people, maybe male or female, maybe people of certain cultures or religion or ethnicity or even race. Because at the end of the day, we want to give, a good balance to all of them, because we want innovation, we want creativity, we want a balanced outlook to life and the careers and the jobs we are delivering to our customers. So the policy is very important. And when putting out vacancies, I've seen some vacancies published where you say has to be within this age bracket, has to be male, preferably Christian or Muslim, and all of those. I think they are correct. There's no need to put such things in our vacancies. Let all candidates apply. Now, you might find that for some kind of roles, some demographic might on their own even write themselves off. I've been working with technicians for many years, and I've only worked with male technicians. I started thinking at some point, is it that there are no female technicians in the industry? Are there no female technicians? I had the opportunity to now manage facilities and run maintenance for a girls' institution. And that's when I realized that this is purely girls' institution. I could get female technicians to work, and I put out ads, and I was surprised. There were quite a number of applicants. Now, so what am I trying to say? All this while, it appears that female applicants have been deliberately not putting themselves forward because they just feel the guys will not call us. They're looking for men, so let me not bother, right? And then they jumped at the one that says, if you're male or female, apply, right? Specifically inviting them to apply. And then we got quite a handful. So it's important to remove that barrier, right? Make it unbiased, according to whatever kind of jobs we are trying to hire for, just make it unbiased. And then this is another problem that we are having. The institutions that grooms people or staff for the kind of employment we put out there, they too need to overcome those biases, because technical schools, polytechnics and universities, some operators and administrators and admission people just tend to have this mindset that this is a man's world and women should go that way. Deliberate effort needs to be made to encourage girl children to apply for technical vocations. a female carpenter, a female plumber, a female air conditioner elevator mechanic, a female auto mechanic, deliberately, pushing them in that direction will create a balance in the job market. Because if at the point of recruiting people to come and study, we are allowing those unconscious biases and stereotypes, which drives all the way to our homes. I mean, people, tend to, push back at a guy, a young man, saying, "I want to be a nurse," for example. Until recently, that used to be a people like, "Oh, nurse, yeah, none of the girls, why don't you go for doctor," and things like that. So if we can, at a home front, as children are growing up, and at the educational settings where people are being trained, there should be deliberate efforts to open up opportunities for all types of demographics, not to make it limited. And then when they come to the workplace, now this is another challenge that we're having. There's this tendency to think that a certain demographic should lead the others, like a man should be head of the team. No, it shouldn't be. I've had situations where we want to even nominate for class governors, for example, or something as simple as that, and you start hearing the man should be the governor and the woman should be the deputy. That is a negative stereotype that we're creating. Why should the woman be the deputy? Why can the man not be the deputy and the woman be the president? Some of these things just come to us naturally, that men should be above women, right? And so even if we have broken that first stereotype that prevents us from employing women as technicians, as experts, as various positions, security and the rest, we now also have the challenge of, when we want to put up a leader among them, we want to have the men on top. That should be banished completely. There should be a clear career path that is gender neutral for everybody coming into our environment. And then we have that responsibility to create a safe, supportive, and respectful environment, because this is something that affects many workplaces. If you have a team of 10 and 7 or 8 are of one demographic and 1 or 2 or 3 are of another demographic, there's a tendency to have denigration, ridicule on that demographic, that we want them to retreat, withdraw, or even exit the team. So we must create a workplace where employees feel valued and respected. So we set clear rules to prevent harassment and discrimination. There was a time in my organization where I had this HR manager. He was a man. And then I had this project manager. And the HR manager will always call the project manager, instead of calling him by name, we always call him Igbo boy or Igbo man. And, initially, because we built a culture that we don't even ask people, what's your tribe or what's your religion? Of course, some of these things are obvious with our names and the way we dress and appear. We hire from all mix into the team. But now, picking up someone's tribe as a way to, bring the guy down, or strike at certain characteristics that you've had in your head as a stereotype, I wasn't going to have it. So I called the CTRO manager and said, "Look, did I ask you?" I asked him, "Did I ask you what tribe you're from? Did I hire you based on your tribe? Did I tell you the tribes of all the other people that I have in the team that you're managing? Why will you be attacking this guy with his tribe?" And that is something we laugh at. Oh, Igbo people, they like money too much. Oh, Robonawayo. Oh, we just say all those kind of things, but somehow they come out of a stereotype. They come out of something that we have heard, we've captured, other people's experience, we've heard stories, things that just come out of our regular programming that we must avoid. We must avoid it. Set clear rules to prevent harassment and discrimination. Sometimes it's even height. Short man, tall man. I mean, for goodness sake, it doesn't matter. All demographics should be seen as equal and equally represented in our teams. Encourage open communication without fear of retaliation. Provide training on empathy and inclusivity. and ensure facilities support safety, mental health, and accessibility. Some people may not show it that they are being bullied, that it is getting to them, but it actually gets to them. It actually gets to them. So if you as a manager can't look into the team and say, how can we create a culture that nobody feels marginalized because it's a minority? Because that's usually what happens. You hear that, oh, they spoke a certain language to discuss something, and someone is feeling hot, on the side, wondering what they are talking about, or guessing what they are talking about, or imagining that they're talking ill or about him or her. And then the next thing they laugh and look towards him or her, and the person says, oh, it's me. These people have ganged up against me. I must watch my back. That creates a toxic environment. And this is very common in our workplace. Some people just like the fact that if we're all in a place and I speak Yoruba and this person speaks Yoruba, the other ones don't speak Yoruba. Anytime I'm speaking to this person, even in the midst of everybody, I'll speak Yoruba so that in my mind's thinking, they shouldn't understand what we are talking about. That is very, very wrong. Very, very wrong. There should be a standard for communication that is open to everybody, right? And there shouldn't be that favoritism based on we are from the same place. I hear some of them, oh, we reason alike, we understand, or somebody says a joke, and the joke is not palatable to another person because of his culture and background. And then everybody gangs up against, you can't take a joke. Just pull it back. He doesn't like that kind of joke because of his mindset and his culture. Then withdraw. Don't impose it on him that he must take it and so much it must be. No. Inclusive environments increase employee loyalty and morale, reducing turnover. People will stay with a team that they love going to work with. There will be more innovative ideas. And, we need to be open to all kinds of customers with, the team that we have. And because customers too on their own, they tend to have this, where are you from mindset. Before now, I typically just, don't want to answer the question of where are you from? Because somehow it creates that, affinity or repulsion immediately, because people are normally just sentimental about that question. And so whether I can do the job very well or I can't do the job very well does not have any relationship with where I'm from. But some people just prefer to buy services, engage certain people because they are from. And that is what we're trying to preach in this. So how do we track that we are progressing towards diversity in our workplaces? Track workforce diversity across all levels to reflect the communities served. So look at the team and ask yourself, if you do age ranges, will people fall into different age ranges or just one age range? If you do religious or cultural classification, will people fall into just one or multiple cultures, religious and tribal groupings? That's how you know that you are meeting diversity requirements. And even when procurement, when you're buying things from vendors, don't insist that, oh, because I'm from the north, all the vendors I work with, people that I can, are all from the north. That's not how it works. Okay, because at the end of the day, you may end up providing poor results for your organization because of groupthink. So how do we embed BI into long-term facility service strategies? We need to make diversity, equity, and inclusion core to our mission and planning. Hear from all sides. And in some cases, it's not just enough to have brought people from different backgrounds to form your team. You, as a leader or manager, should be able to listen to each person equally. If you find that in your team, there's only one or two persons who bring things to you that you listen to, you know that you're biased. You've crossed the first hurdle of putting together the team. Or maybe you didn't have you were not the one in authority to put together the teams, but you found some affinity with one or two persons within the team, and that's the only person you listen to. That would be a problem, because what that will convey to the others is we are outsiders. The boss and this group, they are the ones that run the show here. So whatever I do, I must be in the good books of these people. And as such, even if I have ideas, creative solutions, I'll keep it to myself, because if it doesn't come from these people, it doesn't get action. And that can lead to serious problems. You know, it's very difficult to quantify how much you are losing when you're operating with this groupthink and stereotype approach of getting things done, because you don't know what you are missing. All of you just come together and rationalize that this is the best that can happen, or this is, the worst thing, because you don't know exactly what is possible when you have people bringing ideas from different diverse groups. Include DI goals in performance reviews and track progress with metrics. So what this simply means is, if you have managers under you that recruit vendors, check to see if there's a pattern. If people are hiring to fill different positions for different contracts, or even for organizational roles, check to see if by some unconscious, sometimes it's not even conscious. There are some people that openly just ask, where are you from? And then begin to draw close to you because you are from a certain place, or begin to repel you, push you back because you are from a certain place, right? But for most people, it's unconscious. You don't even recognize when you start, pushing the people you don't want to be associated with because of a demographic consideration, religion, culture, or whatever it is. So we need to now ensure that we have this diversity, equity, and inclusiveness written into organizational process and policy, right? So that if you can now use that to pick and check whether your unconscious biases are leading to certain patterns. Facility management, human resources especially, need to work together with all that stakeholders to ensure that planning for diversity is implemented. Support employees resource groups to promote diverse voices and culture. And this is very important. I like to be in the front-facing point with my team, where everyone can come talk to me. The reason is that there could be a sentiment at the bottom about or around that who made it to the top. And if they can create a pattern on how people get promoted to the top and say, oh, let's look at them, we're all together here, but look at how the Hausas, the Yorubas, the Igbos, see how all of them have risen because the GM or the MD is from that tribe. You need to sit down and look at your team today and say, if this has happened, how do I correct them? Because if you don't correct them, you don't know how badly people at the shop floor are feeling about that pattern that has emerged. In your mind, oh, no, I don't consider it. I just pick the best. But ask yourself, what unconscious bias can be affecting how you assess who is the best that you pick up and raise up, okay? And that's why it's important to do this assessment on a regular basis. We just need to check and say, have I been open to all demographics? Have I been open to gender, ethnicity, race, and cultural background and everything? Have I been open enough? Have I been welcoming and accepting enough? Or have I been boxed in and selective in my approach? Even if you are, you try to consciously demonstrate unbiased decision making, the results in terms of how many types of vendors you have, type you have in your employment, and the types of managers, those who make it to the top. Those results, they're not just random. They're not just random. If you see a from me, tell yourself, I need to implement more DI and see how we can make more progress in the team. Okay, so conclusion, for you to have innovation, resilience, and success, you need to have a diverse, equitable team and inclusive processes for everyone to be involved in decision-making. Inclusive team to improve safety, well-being, and satisfaction. Everybody feels a sense of belonging. They will protect the organization's assets. They will work together. They will help each other achieve success. And you will not see any kind of gang up or caucus being formed within the team. And then during hiring, it helps you foster fairness and equity. But beyond that, as people progress within the organization, they should have a path, equal opportunities to grow to the top. We must promote diversity, equity, and inclusiveness for us to be future ready in our workplaces. So thank you for making it to today's session. That's the whole of the discussion we planned for in this session. I have a few minutes to take some of your questions. If you have a question and you're on YouTube, please write it on the comments. If you have a question on the WhatsApp group, the Max-Migold WhatsApp group, please put your question there. And if you are here, you can type it on the chat as well. All right, thank you, Mavekon. Thank you, Adigun. And Maria, thank you for being here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Charles. Okay, so I'll always be engaging with you in all of our platforms. Feel free to drop me a note. If you've not connected with me on LinkedIn, please just search for Paul Erubami on LinkedIn and connect with me. We can also take professional conversations there. So I have a question. What would be your advice to people in their 50s who are being rejected in job interviews? And this is a reality in many organizations. You present yourself for a job and they just look at you and despise you for your age. You're 55, so we don't want someone of this age to work with us. So if you're in that situation and you're feeling rejected because of that, I'll just say there's not much you can do about the organizations that are rejecting you, because at the end of the day, it's their loss, right? But then at some point, if you keep presenting yourself and presenting great ideas and being more innovative, especially when you present yourself in social media and other professional platforms as someone knowledgeable and able to give wisdom, I'm sure you will find the right organization that will say, yeah, this is what we're looking for, because that is a real big reality, in our day. Thank you very much. Thanks, Chikuma. And thanks, everyone. I'll see you again in our next series next week. So in the meantime, please, if you've not joined any of our platforms, YouTube, WhatsApp, Telegram, Facebook, please join and let's keep the conversation going. If you manage a team and you want them trained, please contact Max-Migold in anything you want them trained on. Desktop productivity, soft skills, leadership, workplace productivity, facility management, whatever the topic is, we can curate a special custom program to train your team and elevate them from where they are, especially when it comes to mindset shift. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good rest of the week. Bye-bye.